Hey, welcome to the channel, the Popthusiast. I am Paul, and I have a special guest with me today, a comic book, Batman specifically, and a nerd aficionado like myself, my cousin, Sean Nose.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, for joining me for this video. So we have a really fun video here that we're going to talk about the new Batman movie and review the set of Batman Pop. So there was nobody else I thought of that I wanted to have join me for this video besides my cousin Sean. He actually was one of the main influences for me into comic books. I remember us talking about comics when I was younger, and your love for Batman, Silver Surfer, Spider-Man, it really influeed me and into getting into comic books.
So what you're saying is this is my fault?
This is your fault. And my wife is watching, so now she knows as well. This will be a fun discussion. The Batman movie obviously just dropped, last month or so. We got a chance to watch it, and I do have to say though, before I was going to watch the movie, I didn't feel like it was going to be that great based on the previews. I wasn't looking forward to it. Yeah, let's see what this is going to be like. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I felt that this Batman is probably the one I would give to somebody who doesn't know what Batman is to watch, so they can get the understanding of what this character is and the beats and especially the understanding of what Gotham is throughout it. So
yeah, it really gives you a good take on Batman, like what Batman truly is, which is awesome. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, so let's start off with the Pop set and the Batmans that they came out with. So not that there wasn't enough Batman Funko Pops to begin with, but they came out with a couple from the common set. So there's one where he's shooting the bat line here. And then there's the action pose.
I like how they took the time to put the riveting into the helmet. That was pretty cool.
Yes, so if you see up close, there's the rivets there along the helmet. So this is the action pose Batman. So as I showed these off, what did you think about Robert Pattinson as Batman? Because that was one of my hesitancies, seeing him. I think he gets typecast because of Twilight, and he's not really seen as a bulky, athletic Dark Knight, so that was one of my hesitancies. But what did you think about his role as the Batman?
I thought he did really well. We didn't get to see much of Bruce Wayne, but I thought that played well for the entire idea of the film, because Bruce is the mask. If you avidly read the comics, Bruce is just the alter ego. Batman is always who he is. Yeah. And I just felt that with the steps that they took with that, especially toward the end of the film, not to spoil things or anything like that, but I think his focus later on Bruce becomes more apparent, and it definitely follows the comics quite well in that fashion. So.
Yeah, and after watching the movie, I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed in the beginning, where he talks about he can't be everywhere, but the criminals kind of think he is, and they're kind of scared of the shadows, and that, for me, that really, like you said, captured Batman really well. So they came out with these two common pops and different kind of poses. There's a 10-inch Batman as well that I did not pick up. I don't really do a lot of those 10-inch pops. And then there was a Hot Topic exclusive that I passed up on, that a lot of people passed up on, because it was this exact same pop with just an X scratch on his mask for like battle damage. So that was an easy pass. But I think the suit looked nice in the movie.
Yes, the suit was very good.
It was sleek. It was he did look the part. I thought he looked the part.
Yeah. I also found it kind of interesting that they made the bat symbol on the chest actually the batarang that he used later in the film. I thought that was a nice choice.
Yeah,
it gave some functionality rather than have that big clunky thing hanging on his belt.
Right. Yeah. How can you sneak around when you have that kind of stuff? So talking about, before I forget, I do want to say thank you to Mercari, who's sponsoring this video. If you haven't already, definitely check out Mercari, who is an online selling app. I sell a lot of my stuff on Mercari. So, thank you to Mercari for sponsoring this video. Check them out. If you don't already have an account, I'm on there as the Popthusiast.
You just put the logo over my face. I couldn't see a thing.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
talking about Bruce Wayne. So we talked about how he was as Batman, and you said that Bruce Wayne didn't really appear a lot in the movie, which was by design. Here's the Funko Pop of Bruce Wayne. It was a Target exclusive. We'll take this out of the box. But what did you think about his look as Bruce Wayne? I know my wife had some hesitancies that she mentioned to us about. He didn't really look like the Playboy millionaire, the socialite, in this movie.
Well, at this point in the comics, the Playboy isn't really into effect yet. He's just still Bruce trying to figure out the place of Bruce in the world, I guess. And if I complained about anything, maybe his hair was a little too emo. But I mean, I'm not, considering my haircut, I'm not going to complain. So,
that's a good point.
Yeah. But I think all in all, though, Pattinson did such a great job. I mean, when you look at those scenes where he's standing over the clues that he wrote on the floor and all of that, it wasn't so much about showing like a true strength or mass or anything of that nature. It was more about telling the story, which I think this film really kind of picked up on compared to other films where it was more about the characters, rather
more flashy.
Like though Nolan's work, especially in Dark Knight, where the Joker, I think that was more of a Joker film than a Batman film. But I think this is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah. And I think he even mentions at one point in the movie, all that other stuff, I don't care. Like, that stuff doesn't matter to me. It's just vengeance, and he just needs to be the Dark Knight, be out there against criminals. He doesn't really care about all the other stuff. That conversation, I think, with Alfred that he has, which there's not a pop of Alfred, which is too bad. There is a comic book version pop of Alfred, which comes with the Wayne Manor, the building, his house, which we have over in the displays over there. But there's no other Alfred pop, so really? I was surprised that they didn't make a movie version of Alfred. I think that would have been nice. As opposed to 17, Batmans. But speaking of, still going along the lines of Batman, they also had a unmasked version of Batman. So here he is in his suit with the just without his cowl and mask and everything on. So this was a pop in a box exclusive. And you can see the makeup around his eyes. And initially, I didn't catch on when I saw this pop announced. I was like, this is one of the main reasons I'm not going to like this movie, because I thought they were going the emo route with Batman in some way. I was like, what is this? Like, I've never seen Batman look like this or Bruce Wayne look like this before. But come to find out, right, it's the black makeup underneath his mask. And you explained it well to me about why they did that and why they hadn't done that in other movies before.
I think it got a better take on the gritty realism of it that they were trying to go for with the costume. The idea of getting away from spandex is just brilliant to me. I think
it's not functional.
No, it's not. And the Marvel films really kind of that's one of the things they do good, or do well, for better sake of the word. But I think it's they just really knew how to make a costume, and I think that this presence of Batman is a kind of an armor hybrid. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's protection. He's got his utility tools and belts and everything on it, but it really just gives him that you're not seeing any kind of his skin underneath the mask.
Yes.
It's the black paint. So this is just what it looks like without. And we've never seen him, but he did wear in the Michael Keaton movies. He wore the black paint, I think, right behind the mask.
Behind the mask, but when he took the mask off, it was gone.
It was gone. Yeah. So this is the first time that they've shown the makeup underneath.
Yes.
With his mask off. So initially that turned me off, but it makes sense, and I understand it, and I'm, not that it matters, but I'm fine with it now.
I think it's a great way to remind the audience that he is actually human.
Yes. And then the last Batman-related pop is the one where he has the glider suit on. So this is a Funko Shop exclusive where he, just for, maybe 15 seconds in the movie, kind of jumps off that building. And to me, it was really cool when he did that, because it just kind of showed that he's prepared for anything, which is really what Batman's known for.
Yeah, that alludes to the future Batman.
He's thinking to himself kind of premeditatively, if I ever have to jump off a building, I have this gadget on my suit that can, let me glide off the building, which he does. The one thing, this pop is not my my favorite of the line. It's super thin, and I think I unboxed this in a previous video, but you can see how thin that pop is. So Funko kind of used it as an excuse to save, I think, on vinyl. But I mean, it looks neat. You know, it's him in with the glider suit on here. So I thought that was a cool addition, you know, to the collection. Funko does a nice job of capturing moments of movies and scenes and turning it into a figure. So now we have the supporting cast that they had a couple pops of, and the villains of the movie, which, like you mentioned, weren't the stars of the movie like previous Batman movies. They still played important roles. And the first one I want to look at with you is the Penguin. So, and the Penguin is not named on here. It's just Oswald Cobblepot, played by
Colin Farrell.
And didn't look like him at all.
No. There's actually stories of him going to the Starbucks the first day on set and no one knowing who he was.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, I know I mentioned this to you. Like, I wasn't a big fan of this take on the Penguin. You know, because he didn't look like the disfigured Penguin that we're used to seeing in the comic books. But I think you had alluded to it being like he's the mob boss.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, in the modern takes of DC Comics and everything of that nature, right now he's very much a mob boss. He's the information broker of Gotham. If Batman doesn't know something that's going on in the criminal underworld, he goes and puts the pressure on the Penguin to talk. And I think that going this route, especially when they mention a power vacuum later in the film, really sets up that modern day Penguin that's in the comics.
And the Iceberg Lounge that he runs played a pretty big role in the movie, where a lot of things happened there. A lot of scenes happened in that lounge.
Yeah, a big nod to the animated series by using the Iceberg Lounge too. I thought was great.
So Colin Farrell's Penguin, he does have the umbrella there as well. And then there was Catwoman, or Selina Kyle. So here's her pop in the masked form. And there is a chase version of this and of the Penguin that I don't have either of those. I usually, those that have watched the channel before, I usually don't pick up the chases that are just slightly different. You know, I like them to be almost totally different to justify it. Although these were cool. I think the Penguin was just in a different outfit, and then the Catwoman just didn't have her mask on. So, you know, if I find it in the wild, I might pick it up, but I'm probably not going to buy it outright.
Oh, she comes with a base.
Yep, she comes with a stand. A lot of the female characters do come with a stand. Some of the male ones do too, but for some reason, a lot of the female characters do have a stand. So she has a hole on underneath her foot, so we'll put that stand on there. So here is Selina Kyle. So what did you think about her portrayal of Catwoman?
I think this is the first... not to take away from the prior people that have done the role, but this is, I think, the first real accurate comic take on the character. She's not a bad guy and she's not a hero. She's just in it for herself, and this really kind of captured that. I honestly felt that scene where she returned to the apartment in the film to talk with her friend who was having some horrible issue going on with the Penguin, really captured what Frank Miller did in Batman Year One. I think that if we keep on that route with her, especially like what happens later in the film with her, I think she'll be a welcome addition to any sequel. She
just won't be like eye candy like has been in other movies, or you know, like the actual Catwoman movie, which wasn't really Catwoman. Halle Berry.
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't really watch it either. So
it was good.
And then last, we have the main bad guy, I guess you can say, of the movie.
Yes.
The Riddler. Which, again, this was another one of the pops that turned me away a little bit from the movie, because I was like, this doesn't look like the Riddler at all. Like, what is this? You know, it's definitely a different take on the Riddler, kind of like a serial killer-ish type outfit and look to him, for sure. Very creepy. But what did you think about this Riddler type? I think we both agree that the Jim Carrey Riddler was just bad in the past. That really wasn't. I mean, it was... For that movie, it was what it was, but it didn't really give you a lot of insight into the Riddler.
I didn't didn't hate Jim Carrey's take. I think he was going more to channel Frank Gorshin, like from the old '60s TV show.
Yeah,
and
campy stuff.
Yeah, and if you go back and watch the old '60s TV show, which I encourage because it's on Blu-ray, it's a satire, and it's a really good satire. It's worth your time. But I think with what they did here, no one really touches on those dark Riddler stories that are in the comics. And he might not kill 4 or 5 people, but he'll kill 1 or 2 along the way. And it's because his ultimate goal is to have someone solve the puzzle, and whatever's in the way, he takes it out. So it goes back to stories from the 90s like Dark Knight, Dark City, A Long Halloween, things like that. And actually the writer of the film said The Long Halloween was a very big influence on his writing for this film. So
yeah, that was pretty clear in the movie too. I really liked the storyline around the Riddler and how it really brought out Batman's detective skills. Like it made him have to find out what's going on. And then even towards the end, which, spoiler warnings, if you haven't seen the Batman movie by now and you're watching this video, that's on you. So we'll just put that out there. But at the end where he totally misses the main clue of the Riddler's endgame and then realizes it too late. Even one of the best detectives in the world missed something early on. But this is his first year as Batman, correct? Is it supposed to be?
No, this is his second
year 2. Okay.
And they kind of established that with the cameo appearance of the one villain.
Okay.
Which we won't ruin for you. But I think the one thing that's really clear about this is that he's not perfect. And Batman doesn't really become perfect ever in the comics, but there's a point where he becomes a force that needs to be reckoned with. And when he becomes that level, it's usually sometime after the 3rd or 4th year of his career, when he becomes the I know what you're doing before you know what you're doing type character. And that's because I think he has more time to focus on what he needs to become because he has to protect Robin.
Right. That's a new element to his world at that point.
And I kind of hope the Robin makes an appearance in this series of films. I think it would be great.
So you're seeing this going, this is film 1, his second year, and then there'll be a 3rd year second film where which at the end, I really enjoyed how you saw him evolve at the end from like the Riddler and how all his cronies and everything were inspired by the Batman. So him coming onto the scene had this unintended consequence of these, other folks like being inspired by him to do the wrong thing and take vengeance for things that they thought were wrong. It was like, well, you can do it, I can do it. And then he changed. I think he says at the end, he can't just be vengeance, he has to be hope.
Yes.
Too. And so kind of flipping that around. And something, when we were talking about the movie, you mentioned something about the end of the movie and how you really enjoyed seeing that Batman lost. Like you thought that he didn't win the day.
He didn't
completely.
He didn't win the day. I mean, it's obvious that he didn't because of how things happened. But it's more of a fact that the city won, even though in this horrible situation that they were in, they won because they got rid of the corruption in Gotham. They got a hero that, to quote Nolan's work, that the city deserves, but in a much more positive outlook than what Nolan's take was. But not to downplay Nolan's take, because Nolan's take was the best stuff I've seen since this. But I think honestly that there's just a glimmer of hope that needs to be in Gotham that kind of reflects the hope in Metropolis that Superman produces. And especially in that sequence where he lights the torch and starts walking through the water, and all those people follow him, and it's he's still something to be feared, but at the same time he is the people trust him enough with their safety.
So that was awesome. I really thought that they stuck the landing on that, which was nice. And I think you agreed with this. You even said this when we were talking. It didn't feel like a 3-hour movie.
No.
Even though it was, it didn't really feel that way.
No, it didn't feel like a 3-hour movie, and I felt that this is probably the first superhero film in a long time where I didn't think the third act was a bunch of junk.
Yeah.
I really thought the third act was actually telling you something that was informative, as well as about the character, as well as something great about the story.
So there's 2 more pops here to talk about, and I always love the rides that Funko comes out with, the pop rides, which initially started off as just vehicles, and then they've kind of expanded it into some other things, and buildings and different things like that. But there's 2 pop rides in this set. So the first one is Catwoman on her motorcycle, just with her helmet. So we'll take a look at this out of box. So here's Catwoman on her motorcycle. So not a very large pop. It does come with a nice like cement looking stand on it, which is neat. They have not always done this. Funko before, with the Logan on the motorcycle and Ghost Rider on the motorcycle, as those of you that have those pops, there's no stand, and so they fall over like easy. You can imagine just putting this down and it's going to tip over, and those do. But this is nice that they have a stand with it. So here's Selena Kyle in her motorcycle outfit. The last piece, and probably will be your favorite of this line, I'm assuming, because I know you love the Batmobile in the movie and just in general.
The Batmobile was probably one of my favorite aspects of the film. I'm a car nerd, as most people know, and
is nerd the right word?
Yes, nerd is the right word. I felt like it was interesting how they introduced a non-living thing into the film that instilled the same type of fear that Batman instills in everybody he's going after. I really felt that this car was scary.
The way they introduced it.
Yes, the introduction was quite scary.
So he was chasing the penguin. Obviously, it didn't look like this. It didn't have him popping out of it like this. It was covered, in the movie. But this is really awesome. This is a nice version of the Batmobile. There's several others that the Funko has done. There's a 1960s Batman in the Batmobile, and then a regular Batman in the Batmobile. There's a bunch of different rides, but this one is pretty neat. Definitely nicely done.
I like the handmade nature of the Batmobile in this movie. Obviously, the guy wrenched it in his own garage, kind of thing, and just really gave it an impact. This is my second favorite Batmobile of all time. The first being the 60s Batmobile, based on the Lincoln Futura concept car. But this is stellar, in my opinion. I think it's very interesting to know that it's as wide as it is and as long as it is, and it really owns the roadway when it's in that lane. And that car chase, though some would argue that the car chase wasn't necessary in the film. It was probably one of the coolest car chases I've seen in a long time in a movie. Probably since, I would probably say since the 90s with The Rock. That was probably one of the best car chases I've seen since then.
Well, it kind of showed his he's gonna get you. His perseverance. Like no matter what the odds are, you're gonna, he's going to come through it and get you. And the Penguin found that out.
Oh yeah, and then the sequence where the Penguin's car is upside down, and then they show the film sequence of Batman walking upside down toward the car.
Yes.
And then they flip it back over to normal when his head peeks down into the window. Is just this great technique.
So there you have the pop set, most of it anyway. The ones that I wanted to add to the collection for the Batman, the newest movie. Any final words or anything else you wanted to say about the Batman movie, or anything you're excited about?
To be honest, I mean, I think it says it for itself. I mean, I really think it's a movie you need to see. If you can see it in a theater before watching it on home video or HBO Max, I would encourage it. There's the sound alone for the Batmobile is worth seeing the movie in the theater. But the sound design in general is a great movie maker for this. But yeah, I mean, and then try out the source material. Honestly, that Long Halloween, Ego, and Batman Year 2 are all great books to read. If you're just looking to delve into comics for the first time, or Batman Year 1 by Frank Miller. I mean, just to get an idea of who this character is, if you're you're interested, go visit your local comic shop. See, support your local merchant in your area. Really go out there, and then you can always hit up Macari too for stuff that you're looking for.
Yeah, you can find trades there and all sorts of cool stuff. Yeah, so awesome movie. To me, I was surprised, but that just was because I wasn't thinking. I wasn't in the correct mindset. I don't think about what to expect. But the movie was awesome. The pop set is really neat. I don't think they're going to come out with any more pops for this, this movie's line. I don't think they've announced any more, but I'm sure they will for, the future movies that come out.
Oh, sure.
But really, really awesome stuff. Thank you to Sean, my cousin, for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
This video.
This is fun. So.
Yeah, this will be the last time.
Until the Batman sequel comes out.
Yes.
Or if they make a good Superman movie soon.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Oh, shut up.
And thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it and appreciate your support. Again, thank you again to Mercari for sponsoring this video. And until the next time, we'll see you soon.
Thanks for letting me be a part of the pop world.
We've already edited. We've already stopped the video.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so nobody saw that.
That's fine.